Yo, we're live. Once again, I'm going solo in my draft show. I tell you what, man, this is one of the better drafts that I've had as far as, excitement to the teams that I'm associated with. I'm both an Eagles fan and a Steelers fan. And yes, I can be both. I played for both teams, and both teams gave me some of the best memories I could have. I mean, to be drafted by the Eagles in 1995. So that's one of the most momentous days of my life, that in my sports life, I get drafted. But then I won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. So, both of them, are kind of special to my heart. And I thought both teams did what they were supposed to do. I mean, especially Howie. I mean, that really shocked me. Howie, I will say this. You're out my doghouse for a little bit. You actually pulled off something I didn't think you were going to do. I mean, you traded back into back into the top 10 and go get the guy that the entire city wanted. I mean, I wanted a cornerback, but as you saw, these cornerbacks were so good that they went back to back. You look at J.C. Horn went to the Panthers first at pick number 8, and then the Broncos went and got Patrick Surtain. I mean, that's unbelievable for them to get those two picks, and especially the Broncos. I tip my hat to the Broncos. I appreciate that. You did us a great favor here in Philadelphia, because I knew without a doubt that they were going to pick, with them picking up Patrick Surtain II, that Dallas, they would have stayed at pick number 10. They would not have traded out with the Eagles. They would have stayed at pick number 10 and picked up Patrick Surtain had he been there. But once they threw that screwdriver in there, it messed up their whole draft. They had to scramble from off their draft board and go in a different direction, which allowed the Eagles to then go in and open up communication with this Dallas team and trade the pick, and which helped us get Devonta Smith. Now, Devonta, I don't think he'd have went to Dallas. In fact, I know he wouldn't have went to Dallas. They already have 3 pretty good receivers. But they didn't get Patrick, because Dallas didn't get Patrick Surtain. They didn't go with it. So I'm so glad they did that, because Howie Roseman engineered a trade in which they got the new city's darling, Devonta Smith, and from this point forward, he has a little grace now with the city, man. But, just looking at these kids and understanding what they're going through right now. I mean, none of these guys slept. None of them slept. All 32 guys have been up, either flying to the teams that they got drafted to, partying from being able to, to establish a dream that they've been dreaming about since they were, wee high, to now being an NFL player. They're going to get paid now, first rounders. But I did like this draft. I like the way it worked out. And it was pretty status quo. The first 4 picks were pretty status quo. I mean, Kyle Pitts going with the Falcons, I thought they were going to try to trade out of it. I thought, a team like the Patriots would try to engineer a trade to get in there to maybe scoop up one of the big-time quarterbacks. But, hey, Belichick got his quarterback also. He goes and he drafts Mac Jones, pick number 15. That is a good pick by them. I mean, Mac Jones, I'm not hating on Mac Jones. Let me say that first. I'm not hating on him. Mac Jones is a pretty good player. If it has been 10 years earlier, Mac Jones probably would have been the number 1 pick in the draft. It's because these new quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, he's still been number 1. But because Mac Jones is just a drop back quarterback, it's one of those things where, that's why he's going to, he's going to be, going down as far as his stock to a team, because he's not the new wave, almost baseball-esque type of throws type of quarterbacks. He's traditional drop back quarterback, drop back, read the covers, get the ball to the receiver. Nothing dynamic. He has functional speed in the pocket. He's not one of those athletes going to want rifle protection or boot protections and all that. You're going to need a running game to complement him and his ability to push the ball down the field. But, that's a good pick by Belichick. I thought the trades, with the Eagles and Dallas trade was great. They ended up getting pick number 84 in the 3rd round. That's pretty good. I mean, that's not too high a price to pay to go up 2 spots to get your guy. Morning, guys. What's going on, man? I always got my boys. What's going on now? But this draft was kind of crazy. And then Dallas turns around and picks up a really good player in Micah Parsons. Kind of fits who they are. the villains in the NFCs. So they go get, Micah Parsons. He had a shady history as far as hazing on players while at Penn State, and to tell you the truth, a lot of teams still do that. It was done in NFL locker rooms. Look what the situation happened in Miami back in the day, where Martin got picked on by the offensive lineman. So I mean that happens, but this kid is going to be good. He's going to be really good, But as I go through this draft and the experience of being in a draft, this is totally crazy. How as they go forward, how are they going to go in? How are they going to, be with the teams, the communication with the teams? Are they going to be practicing, with OTAs and things of that nature? Because at this point, they still don't have the COVID protocols knocked all the way out. I mean, it's going to be like last year. I think last year's football was a little bit behind the ball as far as, the offense is catching up with the defense. It took a while for them to catch up and be the defense, the offense that we had. Defense is always going to have a leg up at the early start of a season because it takes a little while for the offenses to catch up with their cohesiveness and what they want to do to get your identity. It usually takes 4 weeks for a team to get their offensive identity. And then once from that point on, they know what they do good, and that's how they go into it. But, this is going to be an interesting offseason because they know that they need those OTAs. They know that they need that practice time together. They need to get to know the teammates and learn what it is to be a pro. And, that's what it is. But, there was so much stuff that happened. Even things outside the draft. You're right, Joey B. How about A-Rod? A-Rod to Denver? That's they're trying to get the deal done. I don't know if they got it done or not. But, that's huge, man. These days quarterbacks have so much power and they're trying to wield it right now. So, I don't know if he's there yet, but, this could be huge as far as quarterbacks having an opportunity to change teams as readily as they can just by saying, all right, I want to trade now. All right, I'm not coming back. It used to be that, you could say all you wanted to say until you're blue in the face, but a franchise quarterback saying he wants to go and he has the ability to leave. That is absolutely amazing that they can do that. That's crazy that they can do that. But it looks as though they're going to get a deal done. And that makes instant credibility to this Broncos team to be a contender in that division. At this point, Big Red, Andy Reid, he's looking at this possibility like, yo, we don't need this. We definitely don't need this. All those AFC teams, we don't need Aaron Rodgers in the mix. Because look at the weapons that he has. He instantly gets in and Cortland Sutton, he becomes one of the best receivers in the league because a quarterback that can execute the offense. It's going to be crazy the amount of talent that they have at the wide receiver position. From this point on, Jerry Jeudy will become one of the dominant players in the league because he has a quarterback now that can execute the offense. Now teams can no longer stack the box and stop the running game. A-Rod will change everything in Denver. So, this is going to be one of the blockbuster trades, not just because, A-Rod, A-Rod is who A-Rod is, but, they're going to have to give him a deal. It's all started with him wanting an extension. And instead of an extension, they wanted to, reallocate his money so they can get more money in the salary cap to go out and get more players. And A-Rod was like, no, I want you to go ahead and guarantee me a couple more years. Extend me out. Show me that you want me to be a Packer from this point on. And they just wouldn't do it. The agent was going through it with the GM and, trying to get it done. They couldn't get it done. So we're in a position right now they're trying to execute this trade. So this is going to be crazy. I can't wait to see, how everything unfolds as we go through this, this offseason. Because if that happens, what's going to go on in Seattle. Russell's going to be like, yo, they just executed that trade. Well, I'm not coming back unless I'm getting the trade also. And it's going to be a domino effect. The Eagles started it. They allowed Carson Wentz to Debo his way out of Philadelphia. And now it's just going to be kind of ripple effects. Just like dominoes going to start falling, all these major quarterbacks that wield power are going to start wielding that power, because, people don't understand, when you go to look at a salary cap, it's probably 10% of the players make 80% of the money. 10% of the players make 80% of the money. So the quarterbacks, the specialists, they get all the money. Wide receivers and DBs, they get all the money. Left tackles and rush ins get a lot of the money. But everybody else, it's the status quo. They're right there at the mean. I think the average salary is a little under $500,000. And that's great money, to people like us. But it's almost being in a poorhouse, on an NFL team. I can remember sitting in my locker, and I'm sitting next to Casey Hampton, and my locker's in between Casey Hampton and Jeff Reed, my quarterback, and then Hines Ward was on the other side of him. And I looked over one time, and Casey said, "Hey man, look at this, man! Look at all the taxes they took out this check." He had more taxes out of his check than my net income. Can you believe that? He had more the taxes taken out than my net income on my check. So, that's what you're dealing with in the NFL locker rooms. But, let's get back to the draft. Like I said, it was kind of status quo, for the first 4 picks. I really thought that the Falcons were going to trade out, get Kyle Pitts, and maybe orchestrate a trade, for a team that wanted to get down and get a quarterback. But they get Kyle Pitts. Now, look at how that team's going to be. Man, it's crazy the amount of offense that they're going to have with Matty Ice. He's got everybody he wants right now. That's all he needs to get this offense going in the right direction. There should be no more excuses as they go forward, because Kyle Pitts will handle everything in the middle of the field. In between the seams, he's going to be a dominant player. Dominant, and his ability, his catch radius, how fast he is. He's going to garner you, at least putting a bracket coverage on him. And then you got Julio on the outside, not Cordell Patterson. You know what type of athlete he is, what he brings to the table. So, man, that's going to be, a great offense. That's, and I give them an A as far as, their draft this year. With picking up Kyle Pitts, I give them an A. Then you go to the Bengals. The Bengals, I give them an A also. Well, no, I'm going to give them a B, or maybe even a B minus. Because they did get the most explosive player in the draft with, Jamar Chase. But it's not going to matter. You're not going to be able to get the ball to Jamar Chase if you don't have somebody to protect your franchise quarterback. That kid got beat up. They beat him to hell last year. That's why I thought they were going to go in and get Penei Sewell. But they choose to go with the weapon. Those two get reunited. The last time Jamar Chase played, his quarterback, Burrow. So this might be a match made in heaven if he can stay upright, if he can stay healthy, if they don't continue to smash his brains in, they don't get any help to help him out. It's going to be tough on him. You go to the Dolphins. The Dolphins go out and get another weapon for Tua. Jaylen Waddle. He was our number 3 wide receiver in this draft. But, you can't not look at the speed that he has. He's more than just a speed guy, though. He can run every route in the route tree. He creates separation with his speed, but he still keeps his feet underneath him. And he gets the top speed like that. So that's a great weapon. I'm going to give, the Dolphins a B+ on getting Jaylen Waddle. The Lions, they get Penei Sewell. I'm going to give them an A with that. Probably an A-. They need to protect Jared Goff. They probably need to get him a couple more weapons also. So they should engineer some weapons for him in the next couple of rounds. He didn't have anybody right now to throw to. His 2 biggest receivers, Jones went to I think Jones went to Jacksonville, and the other kid went to the Giants, So who is he going to throw to? Going to be, they're going to need to find somebody to go out there and catch some balls for him. But at least they got the best offensive lineman in the draft, and he'll be protected. He'll stay upright. Next, the Broncos. Next to the Panthers. The Panthers go out and get J.C. Horn. He was rated my number 2 cornerback. J.C. Horn is going to be great in that system. Look how the length that he has, the aggressiveness that he has, and the speed that it has. He's probably the most explosive out of the corners, the top 3 corners in this draft. He's a fierce competitor, so that's a good pick by them. That's an A pick by them. The Broncos get Patrick Surtain II. It kind of shocked me that they got Patrick Surtain. Both the top corners go back to back, and they pick up Surtain. They just went and got Ronald Darby from the Washington football team. Now they add Patrick Surtain. I mean, that's a good pick also. So I'll give him an A- on that pick. Eagles. Now, this was crazy. I mean, for them to get Devonta Smith and Howie Roseman able to execute that trade, I got to give it to him. He finally got the guy he was supposed to get. I mean, of course, like I said, I wanted to get either one of the two DBs, whether it be Horn or Surtain. But he executed a trade to get Devonta Smith, one of the most explosive players in this draft. And this kid is more than just, a guy that, 165 pounds. He's 6'1", probably runs a 4.5, maybe even a 4.4 40. But what he brings to the table is some consistency at the wide receiver position, something the Eagles have lacked for a long time. And when I say consistency, doing the basic things like creating separation in his routes. His route running is elite. That's why he was able to get, 44 touchdowns? I mean, he averaged a touchdown a game in his college career at Alabama. A touchdown a game. That's what he averaged. So I think he played in 44 games. He has 44 touchdowns. I mean, give or take, might be 45, might be 46. I mean, I'm not being specific, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. This kid is amazing. In the championship game, 3 touchdowns. I mean, I know Sarkisian is a good offensive mind. He's now the head coach of Texas. But the mere fact that everybody, once Waddle went down in week 7, knew the ball was going to Devonta Smith. You knew it. You could write it down. You could take a picture. You know the ball is going to Devonta Smith. And they still couldn't stop him. That just goes to show what type of player he is. Now, everybody's saying he's 165 pounds, 170 pounds soaking wet. He's been that size his entire, his entire career at Alabama. They say he tries to gain weight and eat. He tries to lift. You never talk about his work ethic. He lifts hard. He runs hard. He just can't keep the weight on. But he has those intangibles. Number one, he creates separation. But the biggest factor, and it's something that the Eagles have been missing for so long, is his ability to catch the ball. He's a hands catcher. And he doesn't drop a lot of balls because he catches the ball with his hands. Like usually, younger receivers, they like to catch a ball with their body, and usually it hits them and it bounces off. Well, he's going to catch the ball with his hands. And that consistency right there is going to keep the chains moving in that offense. And that's exactly what his Eagles. He might be one of the fastest possession receivers in the league because that's exactly what he's going to be. He's going to be Jalen Hurts, who he played with 2 years, a safety blanket for him. Somebody he knows he can throw to. Carson Wentz had Zach Ertz. Well, this is going to be, just like, Patrick Mahomes. He's got his tight end. He has Kelsey. Well, this will be his Kelsey. This will be a guy that he can look at and rely on to get those crucial third downs. And he's not a guy that disappears in the red zone. Usually when you have a guy slight in size, you look at D-Jax. D-Jax, the closer you got to the red zone, they would just take him out because he knew that he would get lost in there. He wasn't going to run across the middle. But Smith ran across the middle. He caught the ball. He has a 41-inch vertical. So he'll go up and get the tough contested catches. So his catch rate is pretty good. So he will be that consistency in the offense at the receiver position the Eagles have not had in a long time. Somebody go out there and catch all the time. A faster Jason Avant. That's what I'll equate him to. A faster Jason Avant. They say they compare him to guys like Marvin Harrison. That's a great comparison. We ain't gonna put the gold jacket on him yet. And plus he doesn't have, Peyton throwing to him either. That's also a crucial difference. Peyton's throwing to you, you could be a little, he'll make you a little better than what you really are. But yes, this consistency is what the Eagles needed in the offense. And I think this is a great pick, probably one of the best picks that Howie Roseman has ever executed. And to listen to the press conference, it was a great press conference because I heard some things in that press conference that really made me light up because, number one, as a group, all three phases. We're talking to the GM, the scouting department, and Andy Waddle, and the coaching staff, all grouped together and made the pick. And that's something that's been unheard of on an Eagles team. And usually the owner and Howie were just basically, overriding everything. But they stuck to the draft board, and that's huge. When you stick to the draft board, these guys, these scouts, these metrics have all been gathered together and put in the list. And this is the best that they can get with what they're trying to run in this offense. And, I heard from, the coach. He said, hey, look, these guys on this team have to learn it's different now. It's not just going to be an X, Y, and a Z. These guys got to be interchangeable. They got to play each position, know each position. And those are the teams that are successful. Guys that can go out there and just play one position and one-trick ponies, they don't usually last long, and they usually don't have a lot of success. But when you could be interchangeable and play all three wide receiver positions, it only makes your stock go up, and it gives you more reps on the field. When you get more reps on the field, that's when you start going out and making plays. When you start making plays, that's when you start getting paid. So you eat good. You know what I'm saying? Play good, eat good, get paid good. So if you could become interchangeable with all the positions, you could be a better player. And I think that's what Sirianni and the rest of that coaching staff is going to try to do. That's why the competition thing is big in Philadelphia. It's not just the quarterback position where, it's Hurts, and Flacco. Everybody had to compete. Everybody, So I'm looking forward to see how they make this transition into the division, because this division really got better. I mean, they got a lot better. Just like I said, with Dallas, once they traded out, they traded back. And when they traded back, they went out and got Micah Parsons in that defense. The old man retired in the middle of that defense. So they needed another linebacker to come in and be that force. And Micah Parsons can play any of the linebacker positions. He is going to be somebody to be reckoned with in the division. Sean Lee was there for countless years. He started, for the past, 5 years, he's been hurt more so than he's been on the field. But when he's on the field, he produced. With this kid here, how big he is, strong he is, fast he is, he can play every position. And he has a chip on his shoulder because a lot of people doubted him because of what happened earlier in his career. He said he learned from it. He knew it was wrong. The hazing stuff, is something that, every team actually does. I've been in many NFL locker rooms. I played in 5 teams, and all of them had, rookie hazing. I mean, you just have to, you got to pay your dues. Quick story. Rookie always has to take the position out for, dinner. And I remember my rookie year, I ended up paying like $11,000 to take all the offensive linemen out and 2 quarterbacks out. And we went to this place called Bookbinders. Long story long, I had to get 2 limos and I had to pay for dinner, drinks, and everything. My bill back in 1995 was $11,000. $11,000. I'm like, I'm playing free for a whole week. I played for free that entire week. Well, my second to last year in the league, same thing. The rookies, Max Stark and Chris Kimawatu took out the offensive line, and they had 3 quarterbacks. The tab at the end of the night was $26,000. I was like, that's incredible. $26,000. But hey, that just comes with, I did it. You're just facing what others men have met in the league. That happened, but I mean, this, Micah Parsons in Dallas is going to be an unbelievable player, unbelievable talent. Hopefully he gets his life straight. He's pointed in the right direction. If not, he's with Jerry. Jerry will forgive his transgressions and allow him to play. That's just what how the league looks at Dallas. You got a bunch of thugs out there, I guess. I mean, you tell me. I'm not a Dallas fan. I took less money to go to Dallas. In fact, I took $100,000 less to go to Dallas, and I went to Detroit instead. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was kind of foolish. But, I did do that. They offered me a contract, $100,000 more than Detroit. I said, no, I could never play for Dallas. I could never play for Jerry Jones. Long story long, I went to Detroit. I should have took that $100,000. It would have went a long way as I think about it, but hey, it's over now. But a lot of these teams did great, like the Bears. The Bears hopefully finally got their quarterback. In fact, they got Justin Fields. To me, I think that's an A trade. They did it. They made it happen. I think it's a great trade for them. They got, Andy Dalton there. He'll be able to learn from Andy Dalton. And I think Justin Fields, he was the second best quarterback in my evaluation. The second best in my evaluation. So, I liked him as a quarterback. I thought that, he's probably the best the second best drop back quarterback to Lawrence. He was an athlete, fast, big, strong. There were rumors that he was the last person in, first person out. Well, that'll change. And once you get to the NFL level, you're going to hone your craft. Even if he did do that, things change when you get to the NFL level. He'll have to go out there and learn the offense. He'll have to, stay around and stick around to watch more film. He has to digest more than the average player because he's going to get an opportunity. They're going to force feed an opportunity to him. So he's got to be ready. And at this point, Andy Dalton will be the starter, but he'll still be a player that I think will be pretty good. In fact, I think he's going to be better than Zach Wilson. To be honest, this is just my assessment. And this is what I saw when I broke down film. And that's the only way I could say it. I'm not talking about anybody else's breakdowns or anything else. But I did not think Zach Wilson to the Jets was the, second best player in this draft. I don't think Zach Wilson was even the third or fourth. No, he was probably the fourth best quarterback in this draft. The fourth best. You look, everybody, Lawrence, of course, he was number one. But I think Fields was my number two guy. Then I went Trey Lance. This kid's a winner, We'll see what he does at this level. But talking about all the intangibles, size, speed, quickness, his ability to run the ball, I thought he was number two. Now, Zach Wilson, he's not a pushover. But can he run a drop back quarterback system? In BYU, they moved him around a lot. They had different launch angles in which they had him throw the ball. They ran waggle protection. Waggle protection is when the backside guard pulls around, he kind of escorts the quarterback out there, and that's how they got the big plays pushing the ball down the field. If you watch all the highlights, he's always by himself throwing a rock. It's not going to be like that in the NFL. Everybody's fast in the NFL. Everybody's an All-American. So you're not just going to be able to outrun people, like he did in this conference. So that's why I evaluated him to be lower. Maybe I know they saw something different with the Jets. And, Douglas, the GM, he's tied to this kid, for the next 3 or 4 years, So hopefully, he does work out. But I think I think he'll have the least success out of the 4 quarterbacks, that got picked up in the first round. Well, it was actually 5. He'll have the least success out of all of them. I think the kids like, Lawrence will definitely be a success. Trey Lance will be good. I also think that Fields will also be good. But Mac Jones in that system up there with Belichick, with the Pats, I gave him an A on that in the pickup. Belichick does it again, gets his quarterback and didn't move. Only he does stuff like that. He's going to be a good quarterback in that system. They're going to get around him. And I think Wilson will have the least success out of those guys as they go forward. You look at the Chargers. The Chargers did what they needed to do. They needed to protect their franchise quarterback, and I think they did that with the second best offensive lineman in the draft. Rashawn Slater, big-time talent. He made his money by going down and shutting down Chase Young, and at that point, he was the best player in college football. Nobody stopped him. And he shut him down. You didn't hear his name the entire game. Northwestern, when they played Ohio State, he shut him down, and that's how he got paid. Kind of like me, I can remember when I was going, when I was in the process of going into my senior year. Well, and that year before my senior year, I played in Nebraska, and at the time, Trev Alberts was the number 1 defensive player in the country, and I totally shut him down. And from that point on, my name was on every list as far as offensive linemen in the country. In fact, it pushed me up from being like 20 to being up to like number 3 or number 4 as far as offensive lineman in the country, because I shut down Trev Alberts from Nebraska. And then also I went to Oklahoma and played against Audrey Beavers, who was like a top 10 talent as far as rushing the passer. Jason Gilden was in Oklahoma State. He was, a top 10 pass rusher. I played against some of the best in the country my senior year, in my junior, senior year, would push me up the ranks. Well, same thing happened with Rashawn Slater. And plus, he's just a baller. He's one of the guys you put on the left tackle and you set it and forget it. Just put him out there, set it and forget it, and you won't hear his name. And when you're an offensive lineman in a game, if you don't hear a guy's name, that means they're balling, because that means he's not drawing any attention. He's shutting down who's ever in front of him, and, he's going to have a very productive career. At 14, Elijah Vera Tucker. I was really surprised that he went that high. I mean, I had him ranked high, but, the Jets, they needed somebody to protect Wilson. Well, they got a pretty good, consistent guy in Elijah Vera Tucker. In USC, he played offensive tackle for a major part of his career, left tackle. I think he's going to be an okay tackle. I think he's going to be an excellent guard, though. I mean, he could be an okay tackle, but they move him into guard. He now turns into a Pro Bowler. So as his career goes on, look at, check him out with the Jets. That's a good pick for him. That's an A pick for him. Did they overvalue me a little bit? I think they did, but it's all according to, the people that are left on the list of players to, on their draft list. So I think that's a big pick for him. I already said, the Pats, getting Jones, great pick with the quarterback. A guy that you haven't heard a lot about, Zaven Collins, linebacker, perfect fit for this Arizona team. Perfect fit. I really think this kid is going to be – we're talking about a 265-pound linebacker and can run. And what his strength is actually being able to play the field as a pass defender. I mean, he had like 4 interceptions in his senior year. We're talking somebody who spent 265 pounds. He probably should have been the defensive player of the year. That's how good Zaven Collins was. But he went to Tulsa. Not a lot of press in Tulsa. But no doubt this kid was, great in college. Did everything, that he needed to do to show that he's worthy of a number 1 pick. And all this kid has to do is lose some weight. I mean, he's 265 now, but he's a soft 265. But he cuts weight, gets his weight down. That's going to give him another step. He's going to get a little faster. He could be a major force in that Cardinal defense. Next, as I go down the list, Miami gets Jaylen Phillips. That's a great pickup for them. He's probably the best polished pass rusher in this draft as far as, rush-ins. He was a number 1 recruit out of high school, ends up going to UCLA, has to retire because of concussions, ends up coming back, and they said he couldn't. He did come back, went to Miami, and picked up from where he started. Picked it up and became a dominant force for this Miami team. That's a great pick for them. I was okay with the Washington football team and they getting Jamon Davis. I mean, their defense, their front seven is their greatest asset. Their front seven on defense is how they make their money. And that defense will be great. I think it was a little overkill on getting Jamon Davis, but hey, whatever. The Giants, they trade back from the Bears. Bears get Justin Fields. They trade back. And this is why I say it was a great job by Howie going out and executing the trade with Dallas. What do they pick up at pick number 20? They go out and get Kadarius Toney. We're talking about, a gadget player, not necessarily a gadget player. He's going to be the Tyreek Hill of that offense. Fast, thick. You can run a lot of stuff with him. Jet sweeps, reverses, tunnel screens. He's quick. He's explosive. He brings a lot to the table. As far as receiver, he's going to be a slot receiver. Going to be hard for him to get Sterling Shepard out of that slot position, but he's definitely a talent that's worthy of getting, being drafted in the first round. I think that's a good pickup for the Giants. And you could tell they were going to get Devonta Smith. If the Eagles would have stayed at 12, they would have had to go out and get a player like Tony. But instead, Howie executes the trade and gets their guy with Devonta Smith, which makes the Giants then go to Kadarius Toney. So, like I said, that's great work by Howie. He saw that the Giants were interested in him, and he pulled and executed the trigger. The Colts, they go get Quay Pay. Now, Quay Pay, defensive lineman out of defensive end out of Michigan. I like Quay Pay. I think he's unrefined as a pass rusher. At this point, he just ran over guys in front of him at the college level. You can't do that in NFL. You're going to have to learn some pass rush moves. And once he gets with a coach that can teach him the basics of pass rushing, instead of just running into a guy and throwing him down, you can't do that in the NFL. He's going to have to learn to take half the guy, 1/4 of the guy, and work pass rush rules as he goes up the field. He's going to have to do that. But until he learns that, he's going to be tough. But he is one of the elite level run stoppers in this draft. Titans, I don't know why they got Khalid Fairley. The word is, he already had back surgery. He said he got back and he's, was 100%. Now I'm hearing that he still may need a back surgery. He was the number one corner at the time before the back surgery. After the back surgery, hopefully he gets back. He has great skills, power, strength. He can, he can shut down just about any receiver in the league. He was a talent, but he's got to get those medical issues taken care of. The Vikings go out and get some pass blocking with Christian Darrisaw out of VTech. That's a good pick for them. They need some offensive linemen up there. The Steelers, like I said, my second team. I mean, it's 1A, 1. I mean, they're right here with me. You know what I'm saying? Got drafted by the Eagles, won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. So they're right here. They're right here. They're even with me as far as my love for football. They go out and get somebody that they needed, Najee Harris, running back of an ilk that, he could carry the ball consistently 20, 25 times a game. He could be a bell cow back. And I think that's what the Steelers have missed for a long, long time. Their ability to run the ball consistently, go out there and Debo defenses without just pounding it. It's nothing like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And that was a luxury that I had my last 4 years in the NFL. Being with a Steelers team that had Jerome Bettis. And without a shadow of a doubt, if money was on the line and we had to make some plays, we can go in and give the ball to Bussy 3 times, and we're going to get a first down. Get a ball to Bussy 3 times and get a first down. We could do that consistently. 99 yards down the field, and they could not stop him. That's a luxury to have in Jerome Bettis. Why do you think Big Ben, had all this success? When you have a running back to that ilk, I mean, there's nothing you can't win when you have a back like that. Bussy was elusive. Even to be that big, he was elusive, powerful. But then, to be as chubby as it was, he could turn it on and outrun angles. He was a talent, that I hadn't seen in a long time. Even with Detroit, with Barry. Barry's, the best running back ever played the game. But Bussy's right up there with him, man. Got the gold jacket, great to play with him. But Najee Harris going to the Steelers, great pick by them. Culver, GM Culver, he knew that he had to get a running game going. Hopefully that offensive line follows suit and gets that urge to start running the ball consistently, get that nasty disposition, Hopefully that works out for him. But yes, that's a great pick by the Steelers. Jacksonville goes to get Travis Etienne. They needed a running back, They let Fournette go last year, traded him to, Tampa. So they needed somebody to come in and help this young quarterback in Lawrence. They needed somebody to be that guy. And I think Travis is definitely that guy. Talking about a guy probably runs a 4.4 4.3, but he's one of those guys. He's going to take the ball north and south. He's not going to wiggle. He plays the fast game. He's not one of those shifty guys. He plays the fast game. He gets the ball, one step cut, and he's going downhill. He's going to get those tough yardage, but, that's what he is. He's fast more so than being explosive in that aspect. The Browns, go out and get Gregrusso the second. Good pick for him. I mean, it's going to be an elite level secondary, with the addition of him. I was hoping the Eagles can get him in the second round, but they it's hard to keep a guy like that. I thought he was one of, they say top 3 guys. Well, it should have been the top 4 guys with Newsome being there, plus the 2 corners from the Georgia Bulldogs. Stokes, he got drafted. He got drafted pretty late, but he went to the Packers. Stokes is fast. 4-2 guy, but can he cover? We'll see. But him going to the Green Bay Packers, that's a good pickup for him. A really good pickup for him. The Bills, I think it's a great pick by them going out and getting Gregrusso, defensive end from Miami. A little bit rough around the edges. He's an uncut diamond, but he has the size, speed, strength, and tenacity to go out there and play. He's one of those high effort guys. He's got to learn some pass rushing moves, but that's a great pickup by the Bills. The Bills needed that. When they played Kansas City the last game of the year, they couldn't get enough pressure on Patrick Mahomes. So I'm glad they went out and got a guy that could rush the passer. In fact, when in my evaluation, he was one of the top 3 pass rushers in this draft. And, he sat out last year to get ready for the NFL. Hopefully he used that time wisely. He had a great pro day. So, yeah, I think, that's a great pick for the Bills. And then, after that, this draft was – I thought it was going to be a little different because, with COVID and, how do you draft a kid that didn't play the previous year? How do you draft a kid that didn't go to the combine? Well, these GMs and these teams, found a way to do it, from film from last year, from these workouts that they had on pro days and, just by word of mouth, talking to coaches, talking to players, this is a unique draft, a very unique draft. And, I was kind of surprised, how these GMs, they really filled their needs the way they were supposed to, and especially the Eagles, Eagle by heart, Steeler by heart. I thought both of those teams had excellent drafts. And, as they go forward, hopefully they can keep it going. We're going to get in the second and third round now, and when you're a second and third rounder, it's almost you're in the same boat as the first rounder. The first 3 rounds that gets drafted are guys that should play immediately. They should have an impact. They should be on the field, whether it be in special teams, even as a starter, if you're alternating. They should have production now. This shouldn't be a project that you have to wait, a year for this kid to come in. He should come in ready to play now. And that's just my thinking. That's the way it's been, since, I've been in the league. They have to make sure they do it. So, I'm anxious to see what these teams do in the next couple rounds. But I really appreciate everybody. This is my second draft special. Had a great time. Thank you, JAKIB Media, for allowing me to do this draft special. It was only supposed to be 30 minutes. But, once I get to talking about, this draft stuff and these players, I'm kind of geekish with it. I love talking ball and talking about these players and the amount of research that I did and looking these players up, watching film and everything. I needed an outlet for it, and I want to appreciate, tell JAKIB Media I appreciate them allowing me to do it. This is Barrett Brooks. This was my draft special.